Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guests. I, as always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. And today, Gavin Newsom is crying. He's a very sad boy because his favoriteest of all podcasters won't let him on his podcast. Or the guy just doesn't really care enough to have him on. Or who cares? It's his show. He has pretty much anyone on. But Gavin Newsom is a ass clown. But we'll get into that in a second. Trump signed some more executive orders. We're going to see what a lot of those are and the backlash therein. We're going to take a look at some lost media, Batgirl, Doctor Who, Event Horizon. And then we'll look at Tucker and Hunter, best friends for life, BFF, that's best friends are we. All right, so let's get into the slop.
Desperately trying to be relevant. Gavin Newsom keeping his Joe Rogan feud alive. I don't know that he has a Joe Rogan feud other than one of his own imagination. So Joe Rogan hasn't
a very
had
sad boy.
Gavin Newsom on his show. So what? It's his show. He can do what he wants. It doesn't mean there's a feud. I'll start by saying this to Gavin Newsom. I haven't been on Joe's podcast in a long time. And it's true. I actually was in Austin a couple of times. And I didn't go on his show. There's literally no feud.
So sorry, Tim.
Joe can do whatever he wants. I will always be grateful to Joe. I had him on the show several times. I think like 4 times at this point. Gavin Newsom is mad that Joe won't have him on his show. So Gavin is fabricating a feud, trying to make himself seem relevant. I got to show you this because I love this. I love this. Let me tell you, my friends.
And I will say, a long time ago, Joe Rogan had an open invitation out for Gavin Newsom, the same way that he had one. He had tried to get Kamala Harris to go on the show after Trump was on. Gavin Newsom said a bunch of derogatory things about Joe Rogan. I probably should have pulled that clip up. And then just kind of said no without saying no. He took grandstanding instead of going on the podcast. Now he thinks it could really help his numbers, or it's either one of two things. One, he thinks it could help his numbers, which I don't think. I think the more Gavin Newsom talks, like a lot of more prominent Democrats, the more they talk, I mean, their own base will just, yes, whatever you say, sir or ma'am. But but beyond their own base, every time they talk, they actually lose people because you can see how full of shit they are. You can see him every time Gavin Newsom talks. Like when he talks about when he was born, he was a small black child. He couldn't read. He played streety hoops and was just like you, the prospective voter. But then he also talks about how much he reads and how he doesn't really like basketball. Like I said, going on there will happen one of two things. But I think he's trying to play into the fact that Joe won't have him on the show and using that to be like, oh, he's scared. He doesn't want to talk to me because he can't hang with me because he's not. Look, one, Joe's not a great interviewer. He talks about whatever interests him, which is why a lot of the time, instead of talking about politics, he'll talk about regular life shit with politicians. Did it with Bernie Sanders. Did it with Vance. Did it with Trump. Talked to Slides. Good morning, Angie.
I have had on many guests.
Huh.
Podcast IRL's had 1,560 some odd episodes. Not to mention the morning show has a comparable amount of episodes. Altogether, I think we're looking at around 4 billion views. 4 billion! It's a huge number. And so I get people regularly, even to this day, and it is the stupidest thing imaginable, asking me to reach out to Joe for them. And my response is always, no, don't ask me that. That's stupid. Gavin Newsom is insulting Joe because I think he's trying to provoke a response so that he can generate press. And I think, hey, don't look at me. Joe can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, see, I think that's exactly what it is.
He should not say anything about it. Here's a story from Mediaite. California Governor Gavin Newsom poured fresh gasoline on his feud with Joe Rogan this week with a not-so-nice claim he's an a-hole. Newsom took the shot at Rogan on his own
He's an
podcast on
asshole.
Monday,
He
chiming in
won't
after
let me
his
on his
dad
show.
went out. He was
Doesn't he
the
know
DC
it'll be
Metro
great
guy.
for me?
So he didn't understand how the Democrats have been unable to combat macho guys like Rogan, who announces for the UFC beyond his podcasting and stand-up jobs. You don't need the Joe Rogan on the left. F Joe Rogan. That guy's an a-hole.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Nobody's nicer than Joe. Joe is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Joe is the kind of guy who will pull over and help you change your flat tire.
Just saying.
I cannot express
Just
my
saying.
gratitude for Joe Rogan. I think both honorably in his show, what he has done for this country, what he stood up for throughout COVID and the weird woke insanity. Having me on and challenging the executives of Twitter when they were censoring half this country, when Joe was kind of a liberal guy, he still kind of is. You know what I do not stand for? Gavin Newsom, and this is for you. You know we'll have a feud. I'll make up my fake feud with you, right? What I cannot stand is betrayers, the disloyal, the backstabbers. Kyle Kalinske is a backstabber.
He is. Kyle Kalinski's a
He is
bitch.
disloyal, and the lowest circle of hell is reserved for people like him to be surrounded by ice and chewed in the mouth of the devil himself. To which I'm sure he'd respond something like, "I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't care. It's metaphorical."
And the funny thing is, Kyle Kalinske is a lot like Sneeko. He's stabbed anyone who's ever been kind to him in the back. Now, some of those were disgusting people, yes. But that's not why they stabbed him in the back. They did it for clout. Sneeko has clout stabbed his way to the middle. Kyle Kalinske has done so to be barely more relevant than Evan Loves Worf, who is literally just a shitposting account on X.
So you get Kyle Kalinske. He's a great example of this. Kyle was friends with Joe for a long time. And Joe would say on his show, "My friend Kyle Kalinske." And then one day, for some reason, Kyle started insulting Joe and attacking him. Why? Because that's what the machine asked of him.
Yeah.
You can take a look now at the Candace.
That's all it was, because it was fashionable.
I've been friends with the TPUSA guys for a long time. Look, if I had evidence to believe that somebody I knew was a friend of mine was doing bad things, I'm sorry. We're going to call you out. And people get mad at me saying, "Tim, abandon your friends, abandon the people who..." No, it's not happening. Okay? It's not going to happen. Joe Rogan does his thing. I owe a tremendous amount to him and to Carl Benjamin, Lotus Eaters. Carl Benjamin.
That's Sargon of
a
Akkad.
A special video for his channel when I had something like 40,000 subscribers, and he had 350. And that jumped my channel to 100K, and that was the moment when I was able to make a living doing YouTube. Because at that time, I was losing money slowly. I was investing. And Carl said, "You do good work. I trust you. Make a video for me." I did. That got me to 100K. A year or so later, I end up getting hit up by Joe Rogan. It's a long story. And he says, "One day I'll have you on the show." I'm like, "Hey, man, do your thing. Invite me when you want to invite me." And then he calls me back. He invites me on the show. After that, I went from about 300,000 subs to 1 million. Now I wasn't just making a living. I was rich. And Joe didn't have to do any of that for me or for anybody else. Kyle Kalinske decides to go after Joe and insult him because these people are evil. They are evil. Gavin Newsom is evil. Kyle Kalinske is
100%.
evil. I'm sorry. It just is. And I think these people are malicious evil.
He is.
Now let me tell you about Gavin Newsom. Fan goes, he's a complete clown. They smirk. They're laughing. I called this sour grapes. That's what we get with people like Gavin Newsom. He's trying to maintain his edge as he declines as the favorite for the Democratic nomination, with AOC taking the spotlight. And John Ossoff's not doing too bad himself. You got a bunch of dollars being pumped in the Kalshi prediction market as we record this video. Newsom is desperate to be relevant, so he decides he wants to make up a fake beef with Rogan because Rogan's the king of podcasting. These people, dude. These people. Now, I'm not perfect, man. But it's so difficult to live in this, in knowing that this is what humans do. This is it. It's yin-yang, you know what I mean? I like to live in a place where I can sit in a lounge chair, enjoy some entertainment.
That would be nice.
Every now and then you got to roll up your sleeves, do some hard work, enjoy the fruits of your labor with your family, and say, "Listen, we don't start fights where fights aren't warranted. We don't need any of that." Kyle Kalinske decided to pile on to Joe because the left decided to pile on to Joe. Excuse me.
Pretty much.
When the left
I mean,
decided
that's...
Joe was a bad guy, Kyle was like, okay, Joe's a bad guy.
I mean, and it started with CNN altering the color of a video that Joe Rogan put out saying all the things that his doctor had recommended for COVID. They altered the pigment to make him look more sick. Like, he looks real yellow in that, and he's just like, it was made to look like, yeah, guys, I'm better. I'm not on death's door, I swear. Swearsies.
And Kyle abandoned his friend because he wanted to earn points on the internet. I tell you this. I would sooner burn down my studio and everything I have before I would ever put a knife in the back of a friend. But you know what? I can tell you this. I've certainly have had people put knives in my back. I have been betrayed because some people are just plumb nuts. And some people are just evil. They're grifters. They're liars.
Hey, speak of the devil.
And you know what you see? This is sour grapes, right? Gavin, it's maybe a little bit higher level than that. I love that scene in Superman. You see the new Deep Superman, James Gunn one?
And the funny thing is, Gavin Newsom is trying so hard to be Donald Trump for the left. That's all he's trying to do. I mean, just look at his media, his social media presence. He's literally just like a Temu version of Donald Trump. He's on there. He's trying his best to shitpost, but he just can't come up with anything. And even his staff of, I mean, they're not even writers, just staff of dipshits, can't come up with anything interesting. I come up with more interesting stuff on a daily basis, and I'm not that smart a guy.
It's okay. I mean, yeah, give it a B. But there's this great moment where Superman is talking to Lex Luthor via like radio or whatever, and he says, "You're just jealous." And Lex Luthor goes, "Yes, like I am aware of this. I'm not a child." I just love that scene. Lex is emotionally, weak on this issue, but fully cognizant of that weakness in his motivations. I think Gavin Newsom is a bit higher level. I think he's sitting behind the scenes, and he's like trying to go on Rogan. He wants to get that attention, and Rogan doesn't care. Rogan's going to have on who he feels like having on, and if that's going to be, Andrew Wilson or Dave Smith or whoever else he feels like talking to, or Mike Benz. I bring those guys up because he's had them on several times this year. Great. They're all good dudes. Mike Benz is the foremost expert on the deep state. Andrew Wilson, king of internet blood sports. Joe's going to talk to whoever he wants to talk to. And these people all feel like they are owed something. It must suck. Man. Indeed. But I do think it's a bit more calculated than I think people like Gavin Newsom. He knows he's not going to be able to go on Joe's show and get that attention, so he's going to make up a fake beef, which the media will pick up and then talk about. And so here I am, probably playing into that stupid little plan. But you know what? I'm sorry. I want to take this opportunity just to say, these people are evil, okay? This Fanone guy, there is a sociopathy. There is a darkness. There just is. There is a darkness. I have met people and seen things the likes of which you would not understand. I mean, I just put it like this. Look at Candace Owens.
Oh, God.
How she has betrayed.
Sorry, I was about to turn it because he's kind of going off on a tangent, as I sometimes tend to do. But I love Candace Owens beef, so let's continue.
Charlie. And it is. It's absolute. It's absolute. I just ask you this. Whatever you think happened, do you think Charlie would be happy about his family being mercilessly attacked and his estate being threatened? Of course. It's ridiculous. When the grifters see an opportunity, they take it.
Yep.
And that's what they do. That's what they do. It's remarkable, the things they post, the lies they make about me, because they want to use my name to get attention. I tell you this, you go on YouTube and look at shorts, and it's insane how many clips there are of me that have millions of views. This is crazy. I saw one that had like 1.5 million views, and it's edited to have Joe Rogan. I talked about this the other day. It's like Joe Rogan's in the front going, "Whoa, I can't believe it," and then it's a clip, and there's just thousands of these things. Yeah, whatever. I guess it's name recognition or whatever. It's not just about the darkness. It's about there are prominent liberal personalities that intentionally fabricate stories about me because they know my name generates clicks. It's the creepiest and weirdest thing. I ain't even anywhere near as big as Joe, but this is what Gavin Newsom is doing in a desperate bid to be famous. Whatever, man. The internet is completely fake. I'll tell you, you've watched a debate online, it's fake. It is. It is.
For the most part.
And it's degrees of scale, right? So I've tweeted about.
I mean, and if you really know about some of these things, you can always tell who's actually in it for this and who's just doing it because clout or because it's the in thing right now or whatever. That's basically the same thing. But you can usually tell. You could always tell that Charlie Kirk was a real one. People like More Pegasus, they do these things not because they pay, because he actually makes less money talking about people like Hassan. But he feels like it's a worthy endeavor. And there's a lot of content there. A never-ending stream. And then people like Nuxtaku, Nuxanor, Lord Nuxanor. He definitely doesn't do it for the money. Which is odd because he's Jewish. I know he's not watching, but Nux, it's all out of love, bud. He will be top Jew. And if there's any luck, myself, Yanuka, Jewpool, and and Arbol Gaming will be his 4 pillars. Will be his 4 horsemen in a perfect world.
Listen, some people are like, what do you mean? Guys, it's all fake. You think this is real? You think what these people are doing or saying they really mean? You think Gavin Newsom actually cares? No. He wants to get attention. He wants to earn votes. I had a conversation with the crew, and I was like, are we like the only real show? What I mean by that is most shows pay their guests because otherwise they're not going to get prominent individuals. They pay their guests. They call people up and they say, we want to, how much do you want? We don't do that. When people come on the show, it's because they have something they want to talk about. And then people say, like, why isn't Timcast getting any good guests? Like, well, we don't pay them.
Yeah.
And we're in that era now where maybe you have to, I guess. And then I hear these stories, and I'm like, are we the only ones who are like actually having conversations? We've got mixed opinions.
I mean, and to be fair, they don't pay them, but they pay for their accommodations and for their travel. So, especially for nobodies like me, that is basically paying. And it's exposure. Once you go on their show, especially if he has a bigger audience, that's good exposure, regardless of what side you're on. But anyway, continuing on.
You have the entire left saying that going, well, Executive Trump has screwed up on quite a bit. He has not betrayed you. He's been doing the best that he can on domestic policy through,
Yes.
especially when he has opposition from the entire left. I'm sorry, Israel. And all of the Republicans who refuse to take action. You know, the entrenched leftist bureaucracy, the leftist activist judges, and then the feckless Republicans with no spine. Let's compare what he has done through executive order, which he gets no credit for, versus the opposition. I want to go through this. These are just the latest examples, but there's been a lot, and this has been overlooked quite a bit. This is when I say he's done more than any president in our lifetime.
Yes.
I mean, he has attempted to, and he's used all of the avenues available to him. He's tried to get bills passed. Well, that's pretty tough to do.
And even so, he's done more. He's kept more of his campaign promises than any other president that I can recall.
He's used executive orders, and I know that those can be undone. It's better than doing nothing. Let's go through the first one. The enhanced visa screening executive order. This actually mandated stricter visa screenings, period, across the board. And there, I should say, some of the questions that have been noted to be impossible to answer.
Okay, side note. I can't remember what this movie is off the top of my head, but Hugh Jackman's performance was so just brutal and realistic and terrifying in this that I can't remember his name. He played Klitzy from The Girl Next Door, and he played the Riddler from The Batman with Shovelface from Twilight. But he passes out right after this clip. Like right there, that wasn't scripted. Like he actually like started to pass out right there. Oh my God!
Yeah, I don't know you, dude. I want to go to school here.
At very least, seems unprofessional.
Okay.
I know I ruined the bit, but it's that to me that's way funnier than what he was going for.
In the description, as we do every single show, please check out the sources. Call me on anything where I'm wrong. Result number 1: we just had a new report that foreign student visas are down significantly. 2025. Indian student visas down 62%. Chinese student visas are down 34%.
Oh, no.
Indian students who aspire to study in the United States saw a deep decline in the visa during the admission.
He's a very look, fuck you, guy. It's very professional, okay? He's a very professional organization.
Steeper than the decline recorded among Chinese students. Now, according to an analysis by the US-based Center for...
Oh, this guy is struggling.
American consulates issued just 22,149 F1 student visas to Indian nationals between May and August 2025. It is down to 62% from the 58,694 visas.
This guy was going to be your doctor.
Oh, you see Winnie the Pooh at the end there?
That is the way the cookie crumbled.
I need to go poop in the ground.
Here's the next result from this.
We were doing like news sign-offs. That was just
Here's result number 2 from Trump's enhanced screening for visas. 175,000 visas.
Hats off to you on that one, Gerald.
For,
That one was actually
criminal
pretty funny.
activity. Just to be clear, like the ones that you see right there. They're
It may have been shock value for me,
activity
but
with the enhanced visa screenings, they've also been on. So 175,000 new ones. So down 60-something% Indian visas, down 30-something% Chinese student visas, and an additional 175,000 visas stripped due to criminal activity, like wearing white after Labor Day.
why the fuck is the Pope?
He's in a popa. He's from Chicago.
He's going.
No, fuck that guy.
Now, here's an executive order. Now, why executive order? Well, because there's resistance from, of course, the left. Activist judges have been preventing more of these, revocations that you've seen. Example, there was one protecting foreigners, their visas from being revoked over anti-American views. They're saying you can't do that. You can't do it because you can't have a litmus test. So they find workarounds. These are leftist activist judges. And then you also see opposition from the right. There's really just no appetite to pass any meaningful immigration reform. So people blame Donald Trump, who's a bull in a china shop, doing everything he can on immigration, visas, deportations, when really we should look at a good portion of the Republican Party who aren't doing a whole lot. Let's go to number 2 executive order. This is a big one, birthright citizenship. And I want you to keep in mind that there really hasn't been one president who's contested birthright citizenship since its ratification in 1866. Since then, President Trump, the first person to try and do anything about it. And I know you're going to say, well, the Supreme Court, despite the Supreme Court and their decision, he signed 2 additional executive orders last week, specifically addressing things like birthright citizenship, birth tourism. He ordered agencies not to issue any documents recognizing U.S. citizenship to children of, including foreign government staff, alien enemies or terrorists, people who got immigration status through fraud, people who came to the United States to give birth on the U.S., basically to give birth on U.S. soil. So these are workarounds because of the Supreme Court, and he signed 2 more executive orders. The results that we see right now, lawsuits, activist judges incoming, but again, this is the only guy who even wants that fight. He's the only guy who wants the fight, and he got a Supreme Court ruling. So really, if you want to say opposition, ACB, huge mistake. But there is value in shifting the Overton window, too. This hasn't even been discussed until President Trump. It keeps it in the public eye. It normalizes people having objections to the interpretation of birthright citizenship. Just like it normalized people saying, even on the left, we need to close the border. At one point in time, that was seen as racist.
At one point in time, that was also seen as everyone's opinion on the matter. There was a time where there were some Republicans, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who very much did and still do want illegals in the country, so that they can pay them slave wages to work on their for their companies that they own. Marjorie Taylor Greene owns. Hold on, what company? What kind of company does Marjorie Taylor Greene own? Construction. She has a lot of illegals who work for her, and she probably pays them dog shit. They have no benefits. They're probably on government insurance, the Obamacare or Medicaid or some such somehow, because they are getting it. Like it's absolutely insane that most people who are for illegal immigration or invaders, let's be honest, they mostly want the cheap labor. And that's it. It's not about human rights. They will guise it as human rights. But you can even hear it when all these rich people are talking about it. I mean, who's going to pick your strawberries? Who's going to clean your houses? Bitch, most of us can't afford to have people clean our houses. I'm just saying.
And the resistance, of course, is the entire left, all of these activist judges. And then, on the right, Amy Coney Barrett, she just believes that every single invader, their baby gets citizenship because something soil. That doesn't change the executive order. And even after the ruling, let me issue 2 more. Wait till I get a load of me. He's going. He doesn't get credit because not everything is accomplished. Let me give you some other examples. Stricter H-1B rules. That's number 3. Right, the executive order was September 2025. He made a proclamation, H-1B's $100,000 annual fee for H-1B applicants outside of the United States. What do we see? We see them down unbelievably. Outside of the United States, overseas H-1B's applications, they're down 87%. 87%. He can't do anything about the H-1Bs already here. That would require an act of Congress.
React to best man speech gone horribly wrong by Impractical Jokers. Okay.
He can deal with new people coming in because it's an issue of national security. Boom. Executive order, 87% reduction. Where do you see the opposition? Well, of course, you see it from leftist activist judges. You had a judge in June this year pause the $100,000 fee for H-1Bs.
Go figure.
A judge saying you can't charge for the H-1B, even though you already do charge, by the way. The whole point is it's not supposed to be cost-free. But he said, you know what? If they're paying the best and the brightest and not just replacing American labor with cheaper people coming from a degree mill, it'd be okay for them to pay $100,000 a year. Judge said no. Doesn't change the executive order and its reduction of these by 87%. Let's go to another one. Number 4, student loans. The executive order this June. Basically, the government is no longer going to provide loans for useless degrees.
Yay!
Gone! Afro-American.
Which is absolutely something that always should have been on the books. All of these ridiculous studies that people cannot find work in, or a very small slither of the population can find work in. Normally, teaching these same fucking retarded subjects. Get rid of them. Do not pay for these. Unless you can pay for it yourself, you cannot take these courses. And then just watch them disappear. However, I think all money should come out of education. All of it. All of it. All of it. It should be state funded.
Masters, pay for it yourself.
Toilet historian.
Toilet historian. Bye.
Oh, now it's okay to blend stories.
And that's a huge one, by the way. That cuts the head off the beast because say goodbye to a lot of the professors who are, they're not going to be brought on to be tenured in the future because
Oh,
they're
no.
going to be able to prove that the degrees have return on their investment. That's what this policy is tied to.
Oh, no. You mean useless people aren't going to have tenured professorships? Or however the fuck you say it? Oh, no. Oh, no. How horrible. Useless people won't be set for life.
We don't know the result yet because the policy really only started in July, but we're going to see it. And where do you see the resistance? Of course, from the left, 100%. The activist district court judge out there, yeah, you have it there from the AP, I forget the name, issued some kind of injunction pausing the policy, which, by the way, when people say he's a dictator, judges should not have this much power over our national government.
No.
Let's look at another executive order. This is number 5. Title IX, gender school funding. It wasn't just that he declared there were only 2 genders and is the only president who is willing to do anything about that ever, by the way, and that was a major issue. But it actually specifically affects school funding. It federally defunded any gender ideology teaching K through 12 public schools. It defunded any universities permitting biological men in women's sports.
Oh.
Changed everything. What was the result? Well, schools and sports organizations like the NCAA, they had to backtrack on gender ideology, and now we have clear guidelines. That's why it's moved on to the pros at the WNBA. Let them have it. Where do you see resistance on this? Where do you see the opposition? Of course, from the left, lawsuit after lawsuit, trying to pause a policy. In this case, the Supreme Court rightfully ruled that he could do that because men are men and women are women.
Yeah.
But just to be clear, it's important to go, what has he done? Okay, let's just look at the executive orders and let's look at the people saying, stop, 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 we don't want it. Because a lot of those people are making appearances on these shows. Tucker, Candace, right? The Hunter Bidens of the world. They are the people who oppose this. Let's look at another one, energy.
This is huge.
Day 1, Trump executive order on energy. Cut regulations to specifically allow American energy to flourish and allow more energy exploration, right? Very different from pausing all federal leases that we saw with Joe Biden.
And canceling Keystone XL day one.
Canceling Keystone XL and then pausing a lot of, leases on federal land. The result? Record.
I'm in the chat. I'm not sexist, but attack helicopter is the superior gender. I mean, I'll compromise and I'll just call you an Apache. I said that wrong, but you see where I'm going.
For the first time, at least I believe in our lifetime, or at least certainly decades, the United States is a net energy exporter. Hey, that's a big one. I know people say, yeah, but gas prices at Iran. Okay. That doesn't undo these other things. This is the exact opposite of Hunter's dad, making sure that we could not produce our own energy. And what happens when that's the case? Well, you're far more reliant on foreign sources of energy. How's that good for the American people? And of course, the opposition was the left. All of these lawsuits challenging.
It was dumb.
Right? Everything trying to say,
like an Apache. Anyway. All right.
You have the right to do that. It's bad for the environment. There's a turtle. Number 7, tariffs.
I like turtles.
Executive orders. All the tariffs that you guys remember based on emergency powers. What was the result? We saw $260-something billion. There you go. Bring it up. $260-something billion collected in tariffs.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot.
Work. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this actually might work. Why? Because it was used as a bargaining tool to get other people, other nations to stop taking advantage of us. Where was the opposition facing Donald Trump fighting on behalf of the American people? Well, you saw this from the right, with the Supreme Court. You saw it struck down, the tariff executive order, 6-3 vote, and there was no effort by congressional Republicans to actually try and ratify the tariffs. So you have the left opposing it, and you have the right capitulating. But isn't it important to draw the distinction between the guy who signed the executive order and those on the right, those Republicans, who did nothing to assist it? Here's one of the most important ones. Let's go to executive order number 8. Again, check all the references. On voting, the executive order March 2026, ensuring that voting is exclusively for American citizens. So what happened?
I mean, it seems like a no shit thing, right?
To produce voter roll data, and they ended up cleaning up their voting rolls. Okay, but where did you see the resistance? This is about what President Trump can do. There's not
is it blue states? I bet it's blue states.
Order, but you know that he's told them to pass the SAVE Act. Well, people on the right don't want to pass the SAVE Act, and of course, no one on the left. So yes, Thune sucks, but I also don't want to simply focus on the Republicans because you have the entire left saying that mere voter ID is racist and discriminatory, and then you have some people on the right going, well, we just don't want to, we just don't want to waste time on this fight. Evil, the left, they want to steal elections from you, just as they did in 2020, with the media, big tech collusion, Hunter Biden Israel, and then people on the right who have no spine. It doesn't change the executive order. The executive orders on visa overstays, on more stringent screening for visas, on H-1B visas, on tariffs, on our energy production, on voter ID, on the federal government no longer providing loans to useless degrees so indoctrination factories can continue to thrive and inflate their exorbitant prices. It doesn't change the fact that he has done something no one else has. That's the big thing that, I think Donald Trump is very often a prick. And I get really tired of him doing, what he's talking about, the reflecting pool and stuff. Just let it go and move on. I get it. But on the issues that we said were the most important issues in the last election, immigration, the border, big tech collusion, censorship, free speech, election integrity, he's the only president. This is the only administration that's even tried to do anything at all. And people act like he's the most dissatisfactory president ever. Okay, well, if he's the only president, for example, birthright citizenship, late 1800s, if he's the only president to ever even suggest challenging it, and that includes, by the way, going back Reagan, Nixon, go through it, George W. Bush, What alternative do you think you end up with? Most likely scenario, you end up with a Kamala Harris or a Gavin Newsom. Or you end up with any of the other Republicans who've done nothing ever. We can be dissatisfied and we can be disappointed. Yes. We can't be dishonest.
And I will say one thing. Marcus Rubius, first of his name, Marco Rubio, he did not have this much spine before. Do you remember before how he was one of the few people who didn't straight up cower before Trump during the primary in 2016? I'm old enough to remember because I'm old. But he didn't really push back, as I recall. He put up more than Ted Cruz and a couple others, Jeb Bush for sure. But now, I mean, God, look at him. He is Marcus Rubius, first of his name. He is the truth, and he will probably be the next Republican candidate for president. And if it continues the way that he is, and even if things stagnate and stay where they are right now, he would win. I think he would win. I would choose him over Vance for sure, because Vance has too many whimperings, too many signs of swampage, so to speak. I think he's a very good vice president. I think he's very good. He's a good PR guy. But that's about it.
And we can't be uneducated and ignorant, because we all have a responsibility to make a case to other people out there that the United States is a country worth defending. How do we do it? As a conservative, you know the answer. But if you're so busy fighting imperfections on the right, when this is the most effective administration that we've seen in our lifetime on the issues that we all said mattered, then we have no hope of a future. And hey, might as well hand it over to the Hunter Bidens of the world, because you know he's champing at the bit and he's ready for a cabinet position that he'll probably smoke in a Newsom presidency.
It's true.
Vagina.
Have you ever lost something?
Oh, shit, hold on.
Your car keys, your phone, and...
Don't worry.
Hold on. Trust me, the video is going to make you want to watch more of the Impractical Jokers. They're funny as hell. I've heard that. I've heard that. But I don't know how much mainstream copyright material I can actually play. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna slide it. I'm gonna slide it right there, and then I'm gonna move myself over it like I have been doing, just in cases. Okay. But no, I'm more than happy to do fan requests and all that. But as far as actual copyright stuff, I'm gonna have to take extra precautions and pause regularly. There is a couple of guys who do something similar to this, and I'm sure they got the idea from Impractical Jokers, or if there's anything else like this that came before. But there's a couple of guys that put like fake products on there, and it's like racially and gender-wise or orientation-wise offensive. It's some of the most hilarious things I've seen, just because they do it in front of actual people like this. It's great. I might pull some of those up if I can remember. Truly all that matters. It's the bride and groom's wedding. As long as they're okay, I could give a fuck about anyone else in the room, to be just purely fair. As long as you're not doing anything crazy sexual to offend, the kids and parents and all that, or Nana. But as long as it's nothing like that, do your thing. It's your wedding. And they know who you are. So they should know how you are.
Sweating.
This is something. Nah. At least look, if it's people I know, and they're in on it, maybe. If it's friends of mine and my friends' families, most of my friends' families hate me anyway. Because I'm honest, and I'll tell them, like, if they, hey, what do you think about such and such I'm seeing? Oh, she's a bitch. What? What do you mean? She's always so nice. No. The second you leave the room, she threatens me. No, bro. And I've been nice to her for whatever, but no, she's awful. I'll do it. Just call me if you the wrong woman. I'll make that breakup happen. No. I would never get into that phase. If it was the wrong one, for sure. But I do appreciate the offer. Yeah, that hurt me, man. That's crazy. Okay, straight off the request line. Wow.
In judicial ethics,
That is okay. I gotta clear out my thing because that's way further back than it should be.
Have you ever lost something?
Okay.
Your car keys, your phone, entire movies or episodes of TV shows?
Entire
Well,
movies?
Congratulations, because you're no different from the fine men and women of the entertainment industry. who've managed
Cheers.
to
No, it was a wonderful speech. It was beautiful, and just like her, inside and out, and he should know.
collectively lose hundreds of thousands of hours of material over the past century, either through incompetence, natural disasters, or other causes. It's like a whole alternate.
Oh, it's 'cause
history
he's a
of movies and
gross
TV shows
person,
that
right?
either vanished into nothingness like they
can see
never
that.
existed, or never saw the light of day in the first place.
Oh, fun fact: the entirety of the first Back to the Future movie was shot with this guy, and then they decided that he's not great, he's not fitting the role. After they shot the entire movie, and then they reshot it, and it still made money and had sequels.
Alternate castings, pilots that never got picked up, drastically different cuts of well-known movies. All of them fall into the legendary status of lost media. And it's something I've always been...
Or the legendary status of the Exorcist prequel that was actually made into two separate movies, and spoiler alert, neither one of them are that good.
kind of fascinated by. The stories that never got told, the actors who never got a chance to shine, the ideas that never quite made it. So I figured, why not do a series delving into some of these legendary lost pieces of media, why they vanished in the first place, what's been done to try to recover them, and whether we'll ever see them as they were once intended. And
It's a great movie, by the way. It's not a great movie, but it's a great movie.
that being the case, let's
Great
begin with
success.
one of my personal favorites. Event Horizon is a sci-fi horror movie that needs no introduction, but in case somehow you don't know about it, go watch my review. It's fucking spectacular.
Hell
The
yes.
review, I mean. Anyway, the movie's well known for its extreme scenes of gore and violence, but the sad thing is that the version we have today is nothing but a tame, watered-down, pussified version of the director's original vision, drastically hacked apart by panicking
Absolutely
studio
true.
executives to make an impossible deadline and appease uptight censors. Now, to understand what exactly happened and why, we have to skip back to the early months of 1997 while the movie was still getting filmed. The production was already rushed to get the film into cinemas before Titanic released later in the year, forcing director Paul W.S. Anderson to delegate a lot of additional scenes to the second unit. With very little oversight from either the director or the studio, they were basically given carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they wanted, and holy shit did they go to town with this one.
Oh, yeah.
Porn stars, amputees, buckets of blood, and all kinds of bizarre makeup and gore effects were used, resulting in some of the goriest, most sexually explicit and disturbing scenes ever put into a mainstream movie.
God, I wish they could find this. I really do want the original VHS copy of this, of the original cut. There is one in circulation, apparently, maybe not even in circulation. It's in someone's private collection. Sir, if you're out there, I would very much at least like to watch this once and possibly get a copy of it.
When the first rough cut was screened, test audiences reportedly walked out, threw up, and fainted. The Paramount executives who hadn't been checking in on the film and were completely unprepared for what they were about to see were shocked and immediately ordered drastic cuts. The most gory and explicit content was removed, shaving the 130-minute movie down to just 96 minutes. Anderson himself was livid and fought bitterly against the changes, but their minds were made up. Now, poor marketing combined with a rushed post-production and heavy competition meant that Event Horizon struggled at the box office and ultimately failed to break even. But it did sell much better on home media, especially DVD, and gradually became embraced as a cult classic over the years. Sensing money to be made, Paramount began looking into restoring all that cut footage for some kind of Ultimate Edition re-release. Unfortunately, Event Horizon was made before digital film was a thing, so they had to source the actual original film stock from 1997, and when they eventually tracked it down to a disused salt mine in Transylvania, yes, I'm being serious.
Yeah, that's
here,
completely
it had
completely
degraded
real.
to the point where it was completely unusable. The legendary director's cut of Event Horizon would ultimately never happen. The closest we've come is a few additional scenes that have made it onto the Blu-ray edition, mostly low quality and with no visual effects finished. Apparently though, one copy of the original 130-minute rough cut does exist on a single VHS tape that producer Lloyd Levin held onto ever since that fateful screening, probably locked in a safe surrounded by holy water, making
Probably.
it one of the most sought-after items in
And
the
I will
Event
go into
Horizon
that safe and I
fan
will
base.
watch it.
Unfortunately though, it's unlikely to ever see the light of day.
Please?
Even if the tape itself hasn't degraded after gathering dust for 30 years, the footage would be far too low quality to do anything meaningful with.
Remember when she was in
We'll
movies?
never know what Event Horizon could have been if it was fully unleashed. And that truly is a shame because there's never been a movie quite like it before and probably never will again. Now, for our second entry, we're going back in time to the 19...
So that's Event Horizon. It's not a movie I could watch a lot, but it's one I go back to every now and then just because it was probably the first really fucked up movie that I ever watched, and I was way too young to watch it. I'm pretty sure, hold on, what year did that come out? What year did Event Horizon release on DVD? Sorry. What year did Event Horizon release on VHS? Okay, yeah, so 98, so I was like 14. I was still too young. I was very withheld, I guess. I was very sheltered. So yeah. It was an interesting time. But that was the start of my horror fascination. Yeah, I was just like, oh, fun, Alan Grant from Jurassic Park's in this movie.
60s with the release of Doctor Who. Now, it might seem hard to believe today, but Doctor Who was once regarded as an absolute classic of British television. Wildly eccentric, creative, dramatic, and quite literally timeless, it had entertained whole generations of kids and adults alike. So you might find it hard to believe that once upon a time, the BBC deleted the only copies of almost 100 episodes from the first 6 years of the classic show, and to this day they have never been recovered.
That doesn't make sense.
Now, this
It really
probably all
doesn't.
sounds a bit retarded in 2026, but believe it or not, deleting old archived material like this was actually pretty common back in the 1960s. Why? Well, money mostly. Storing large quantities of delicate film stock is difficult, expensive, and time-consuming, and by the late 60s, the BBC was literally running out of storage space. Something had to be done. So in 1967, BBC Enterprises began purging thousands of hours of programming from their warehouses, including
You know how they say only the winners of war get to tell the story of the war? It's basically how TV from early TV is going to go. So yeah, we're going to lose a whole lot of these historic and should be archived materials just because there wasn't really enough space to hold them. God, can you imagine if someone like EMPs the source of a lot of these movies? Like it's completely insane. I really hope that there's backups on backups of backups of some of the good ones, and then on the other hand, I hope the Acolyte gets EMP'd.
Doctor Who. Now, responsibility for archiving old content like this was technically split between the BBC Enterprises and the BBC Film Library, but the problem was there was a whole lot of grey area in between and nobody could decide exactly who was responsible for what. As a result, both organisations just kind of assumed the other one was handling it and never bothered to check up on it.
Are you retarded?
This policy of literally deleting some of their most iconic shows didn't officially end until 1978, partly because of fan intervention, partly because the rise of home media meant the BBC could exploit its back catalogue, and partly because they started to develop this crazy idea that maybe we should preserve things like this for posterity. By the time the dust finally settled and the BBC did a proper inventory of whatever was left, they discovered that 97 episodes of the show had been destroyed completely.
Well, that's great.
That's just fucking great, man.
Now, as you can imagine, there's been quite a few attempts to recover these missing episodes over the years, especially in the 2000s when nationwide campaigns were launched to mark the show's revival, and they've become the holy grail of Doctor Who fans. 2 of them were eventually found in private collections, and there's rumours of many more floating around out there, but as you can probably guess, the owners are a bit reluctant to hand them over because technically they're still BBC property and they don't want to end up in jail for it. It's kind of fascinating to think that almost 100 episodes of a show like this have never been seen by the majority of fans today, and most likely, they never will. The best they've been able to do is source the original audio for most of the lost episodes and either reconstruct them with production stills or animation to give fans a vague approximation of what they were like. But let's be honest, it's nothing like seeing the full uncut versions in all their cheesy black and white 1960s glory. Now, our third case is
like
something
Stewart.
that I'm pretty sure has never happened before or since in the entire history of filmmaking. A complete big budget film that was shot, edited, audience tested, and nearing completion, only to get scrapped and completely buried at the 11th hour with no...
And this movie, I'm sure it could have been good, but I don't like that, one, they wasted a great chance for a Batman Beyond movie on Batgirl. 2, they have to stop changing Ginger, aka redhead or freckled people. They have to stop swapping them out for black characters. They do this all the time. They did it with Annie. They've done it with Iris West. They've done it with Wally West. They've done it with... I mean, name a fucking character. They've done it with so many. There's whole lists. Like, hold on. Redhead characters replaced by black characters. Yeah, here we go. So, and this isn't even a whole list, but you have Heimdall. I think that's from G.I. Joe. From Smallville. She's not black, though. From Spider-Man. Like, this is just all of them. Lego Batman. Josie and the Pussycats. I mean, Gamora's green. I don't count that. But she does have red hair. I think that's Gamora. It might be. Mary Jane, even though it's technically just MJ, but we all know who it is. Daphne, especially in the new crappy Velma show. Like, this isn't even all of them. This is just... a small number of them. This is just Fire Fist, April O'Neil, what's that, Starfire? Wally West, of course, Iris West. Like, so many. So many. And again, Michael Keaton was supposed to be in this. Brendan Fraser was going to play someone called Firefly. But it was just going to be a Batgirl movie. Batgirl doesn't have any bad guys on just her own. She is an awesome character, except when Alicia Silverstone plays her. I would have loved to see her in live action, done right, along with Batman, or even in her own spin-off thing or whatever. But wasting a Batman Beyond opportunity with ancient Michael Keaton, it just wasn't cool.
Warning from the studio. I'm talking, of course.
Although I will say it is way better than a needless sex scene between Batman and Batgirl, who is, if I can recall, have never had any kind of coupling in any of the comics ever.
The infamous Batgirl, a project commissioned as part of the struggling DC superhero brand that was spiraling into an identity crisis and creative schizophrenia after a string of embarrassing flops. Nice to see some things never change. Anyway, the project was begun under Walter Hamada's short-lived tenure as head of DC on film. Hamada's genius plan for DC was, well...
put a ticket in and make a name gay!
I'm not kidding, he literally imagined a new female-centric DC built around Wonder Woman, Batgirl, and Supergirl.
I won't take that as a compliment.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, fucking sure, buddy. And key to that plan was getting a Batgirl solo movie off the grounds. Joss Whedon was originally attached to write and direct in 2017, but dropped out when his career fucking imploded.
Which I think, honestly, if we can be honest, I think that would have been badass. Batgirl is a very badass character, pretty quippy, and I think he would have done a great job with anyone else cast as it. Preferably a redhead, but doesn't necessarily have to be a redhead, but should be a redhead.
Anyway, new directors were eventually brought on board and the film went into production in 2021, with Brendan Fraser playing a villain and Michael Keaton coming back from a 30-year hiatus to play Bruce Wayne once again. Filming went off mostly without a hitch and Batgirl moved into post-production, and that's when things started to go wrong, mostly at the studio level where big changes were now afoot. Walter Hamada was shown the fucking door, and in his place was David Zaslav, a hard-nosed money man who'd been given one simple objective: find a way to make Warner Brothers profitable again and bump up the share price so we can sell it off to someone else. Zaslav took one look at the massively expensive slate of DC superhero movies in the pipeline and immediately went at them with the kind of brutal efficiency that would make the Grim Reaper cringe. And one of the biggest and highest profile casualties was Batgirl. Even though the film was like 90% finished, it was immediately shit-canned.
Is that a white guy being in her stunt double?
The cast and crew first. The studio even went so far as to wipe all footage from the servers in the middle of the night before the announcement even went out, just in case anyone decided to leak it online. Just like that, Batgirl ceased to exist. And there it sits to this very day, locked away in the darkest corner of the Warner Brothers vault, never to see the light of day. An entire movie...
Considering everything else that came out around it, I believe that it was complete and utter dog shit. But then again, they released The Flash.
Tens of millions of dollars and thousands of man-hours invested, all for absolutely nothing. Even in 2026, all that exists of it is some production stills and behind-the-scenes location footage. No trailer, no clips, no test footage, nothing. I mean, you've got to hand it to them at least. They might be one of the dumbest studios in Hollywood, but Warner Brothers erased this one so thoroughly that even Joseph Stalin would have been impressed. And there you have it, dear viewer, our inaugural class of Lost Media. Now, I've got many more in the pipeline that I want to explore, but if you've got a particular...
I just find stuff like this fascinating. My apologies if it's boring content, but let's get into more... I just want to hear a laugh track.
Dropped it off and forgot about it and never picked it back up. Tucker Carlson, Hunter Biden.
Best friends are we.
Move on here. Your thoughts?
It's like peas and carrots.
So I'm going to play.
Oh, real quick. Angel Reese.
It's been called a hostile act.
Apparently scratched the shit. Like, it's always an accident with these players. Like, look at this. And they're going to show another angle in a second, but
Players coming in, Ma, and then Reese's
looked kind of bad from that side. But let's wait till we see it up close.
Right now sitting on 5 fouls.
See the
look right here.
Right
you see that? That's the complete grip.
Tempo players coming in, Ma, and then Reese's hand.
Like, look at this.
Angel Reese right now sitting on 5 fouls.
See the offhand here, right there.
Like, what the fuck? Why are these nasty, ugly people? Why are they allowed to have wigs while they're? Why would you want a wig that goes down to your ass while you're playing basketball in the first place? I know that's not what she scratched her with, but at the same time, like the blonde girl from the other day. But at the same time, how can you even play in those nails? 1 and 2, why are you allowed to play in those nails? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. As physical of a sport as this is, you should not be able to have those damn talons on you.
Get Alma on the face. Reese can
but I'm Angel Reese. I'm a star. Please, I'm a star. So yeah, Angel Reese continues to be one of the worst. Dijonay Mustard is definitely a close second.
Play through what we've edited down. I highly recommend you go watch the whole interview. And then I'm going to play it again with some fact checks, because it's tough to present this any other way. There are some very, very blatant lies, and then I'll present to you my suspicions as to why. First off, let me start with, here are some of the things that they did not discuss. Hunter Biden's inappropriate behavior around his niece, banging his dead brother's wife, 10% for the big guy, the Ashley Biden diary, the China business dealings, other foreign ties, dropping a gun in a trash can outside of a school, tax evasion, the paternity case, or his peanuts next to M&M's peanuts.
Yeah, all these other things that are horrible crimes that he can't be arrested for, thanks to the auto pin. and Biden making his whole family immune, basically. But yeah, the Biden is the least of the Biden. Christ, the laptop is the least of the story, but it's the one they focus on the most, because diversionary tactics.
Penis M&Ms, peanuts M&Ms next to his penis. He put his dick next to M&Ms. None of those things discussed.
What? No one likes eating penis M&Ms? I'm sorry, peanut M&Ms.
Instead, the interview focused on largely how the whole Hunter Biden laptop story that was an example of media bias and big tech collusion with three-letter agencies, actually it was Israel.
We get approached by Israelis connected to Benjamin Netanyahu, like I know that, who are shopping this stuff to me at Fox News. And I'm like, I don't think
That's true. That's true. You don't think Tucker Carlson.
Part of the story. The laptop is real. I thought that from day one. But the way that it entered the bloodstream of the American media was not real. So I just want to...
It was an October surprise. Nothing about an October surprise is natural, because they're holding on to sometimes illegal activity so they can drop it right before the election. But the funny thing is, they dropped it too close to the election because in a lot of states you're allowed to vote up, like, starting in June? So, and a lot of people who said that they voted early said they probably wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden if they had known about the laptop and the gun and all the other things that he just listed.
I want to ask you point blank, did you drop off laptops?
No. And this is the thing that I've said over and over again. I have literally zero recollection or memory of ever dropping off a laptop.
That's because you were fucking ass out of your mind, dude.
A laptop at John Paul McIsaac's. No. The answer is no. And John Paul McIsaac, the laptop, according to Lev Parnas, under oath in his testimony before the House Oversight Committee, was being sought by Rudy Giuliani in Ukraine all the way back in 2018. And so Rudy Giuliani is working with a guy named Andrei Derkach, who was a MP in Ukraine and a known Russian GRU agent. So Rudy goes over there and basically takes his dossier and receives information that Hunter Biden's hard drive, not laptop, is for sale. So when anybody says Hunter Biden, what's your first thought? Laptop. You know.
Can I just say one thing, though? That this is what I experienced during that time. The allegation that there was abuse of minors on the laptop, that came from the Israelis. I'm just telling you that. They came to me with that, so I know that.
That came from the Jews. Yeah, it was the Jews. The Jews did it. Oh!
And one of the things that enraged me about the statement from those sleazy intel guys is that...
Those dirty Jews, Tucker Carlson.
They blame the Russians for it. Now, maybe the Russians had a hand in it, but it was the Israelis who were pushing that. Fact. So I mean, literally to me. So...
And you've gone through it.
But they're all such slaves.
Is there anything? I want to clear with your entire, not a single thing in anything that is in any way true about that.
But they were pushing that so hard, and all the intel guys were like, oh, it's Russia. It's like, you lie. You lie.
Well, that's true. They did
called
lie.
me. I sent one of my producers out to go meet with one of the guy connected to Netanyahu. They were behind that, and I felt that everybody in D.C. knew that, but there was so much pressure never to criticize Israel in any way that they were just like, it's the Russians. It's the Russians. They're the ones penetrating our political system. It's like, you lie. Everyone knows what's actually happening. This was my perspective.
Two things. One, yes, Russian involvement was overblown by the Democrats. Two, their involvement is not a lie. It's just embellished. And the fact that people are saying that the laptop was, and still say that to this day, yes, that is a lie.
And it drove me insane. And by the way, I didn't say that on Fox News. I'll admit it.
He has integrity now.
Yeah, I didn't. You're right. I just want to say I was part of the problem also, but I knew.
Right. He's, as opposed to now, he's not part of a problem. Where he presents, very cleverly, the dynamic of, the intel, they were trying to say it was Russia because really it was Israel. No. And by the way, one of the people on that committee who declared it to be most likely Russian disinformation was Dana Bash's ex-husband. You want to talk about the elites? This is one of those things where they say the elites want you fighting against each other so that you don't actually focus on them, the elites in our three-letter agencies. And of course, the entire Democrat Party, media, big tech, they wanted this story buried. Why? Because we now know it's become a case study. It would have affected the outcome of the election. So this dynamic wasn't, they said Russia when really it was Israel. They said it was Russian disinformation so that this story, which would have affected the election, was completely removed and blocked from being circulated anywhere online, even though it was a real story. So when the real dynamic was big government, big tech, big media colluding to put their thumb on the scales of the election, he's saying it was Russia, it was them trying to blame Russia because really it was Israel. So let's go through that again.
Why would Israel want to blame the Russians? It doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense.
And as always, I'll provide all the references, links in the description, where I'm going to play pause and go through the verifiable lies. Some of them obviously can just be misstatements. In these cases, lies. Play.
We get approached by Israelis connected to Benjamin Netanyahu, like I know that, who are shopping this stuff to me at Fox News. And I'm like, I don't think that part of the story, the laptop is real. I thought that from day one. But the way that it entered the bloodstream of the American media was not real. So I just want to ask you.
It's not real. Oh!
No. And this is the thing that
Pause.
I said.
Lie. Yes, he did. He signed for it. He signed a receipt for an $85 repair for 3 MacBook Pros. His own legal team never disputed that he dropped off the laptop. With the easiest argument to make, that's not his signature. He didn't drop them off. They all but conceded it. That's a lie, and that's used to set everything else up. Let's continue.
Over and over again. I have literally zero recollection or memory of ever dropping off a laptop.
Well, pause. Of course you wouldn't. You were high as a kite.
See? Exactly.
Keep playing.
Paul McIsaacs. No, the answer is no. And John Paul McIsaacs. Wild. The laptop, according to Lev Parnas, under oath in his testimony before the House Oversight Committee, was being sought by Rudy Giuliani in Ukraine all the way back in 2018.
Lie. Pause. Okay, this timeline makes no sense whatsoever. Lev Parnas does make the claim that Ukraine told him about the laptop in February of 2019. There is zero corroborating evidence. He himself, the guy he said, claimed that the information didn't show up in Ukraine until May 2019, after the laptop was in the shop, to be clear. So his timeline doesn't add up. He's saying 2018, it's not actually possible, and he's pointing you to evidence that doesn't exist. Let's continue playing. Please check out the references because we are giving you actual evidence. Go.
And so Rudy Giuliani is working with a guy named Andrei Derkach, who was a MP in Ukraine and a known Russian GRU agent.
Pause.
So,
lie. He didn't meet with Derkach until December 2019, and he is not a GRU agent. And to be clear, that meeting didn't really have anything to do with the laptop, as I understand it. Meeting produced those edited Joe Biden, Petro Poroshenko tapes. You remember that? So, no, he was, but the most, he just goes, known GRU agent. Nope, not true. So again, this matters because I didn't drop off the laptop. Yes, you did. Well, they said that this was in Ukraine in 2018. It's not possible. They didn't say that. They said it under oath. That's a lie. If this guy who's a known GRU agent, that's a lie, verifiably. So now I want you to trust me when I say this isn't a real story. It's disinformation from Israel. Everything you've said thus far that we can verify is a flat-out lie. And he's not being questioned. I guess that's just reserved for people like Ted Cruz. Keep playing.
Rudy goes over there and basically takes his dossier and receives information that Hunter Biden's hard drive, not laptop, is for sale. So when anybody says Hunter Biden, what's your first thought? Laptop. You know.
Can I just say one thing though?
I mean, but the thing is, y'all have kept it to that as well, because all the other things are, you can't defend those things. They're indefensible. The gun, the crazy shit with what's it? Your sister, your niece. All that disgusting mess. Come on, man.
During that time, the allegation that there was abusive minors on the laptop, that came from the Israelis. I'm just telling you that. They came to me with that, so I know that.
Why?
And one of the things that enraged me about...
I'm saying it so you know it's true because I've been on TV.
So pause. Here's the thing. It's not a lie to say that it could have come from the Israelis. It's a lie to say, I know that, because that is a claim without any evidence. And it's entirely hearsay from Tucker. Now, what he is talking about is that not Hunter Biden and his niece, where there was some, at least, inappropriate behavior. They're not even talking about Ashley Biden and the allegations or sort of the writings that maybe implied her father was sexually inappropriate, or at the very least, nude with a daughter beyond the age of propriety. There was a separate conspiracy that there was sexual abuse of minors, which did not exist, and that circulated. And we do have proof that there were some Chinese YouTubers who were first to circulate that rumor, just to be clear. So that's the first place that we could find circulating that rumor, and that is something that does happen where people try and poison the well. You know, something is going on, for example, like with Epstein, where there's a lot there, and then people go, actually, they were drinking the blood of children in this satanic cabal. You go, hold on a second. That often happens where someone comes in to discredit what is legitimately there. But Tucker just goes, it's all of this. Israel, the proof that we have here is that he doesn't know, and it started with a Chinese YouTuber. Let's keep playing.
Sleazy intel guys, is that they blame the Russians for it. Now, maybe the Russians had a hand in it, but it was the Israelis who were pushing that. Fact. I mean, literally.
Maybe none of them had a hand in it, and a high person, Hunter Biden, dropped off a laptop where the shop themselves said, like, he just dropped it off and forgot about it and never picked it back up. Maybe that, because you know what? None of that was really disputed by his legal team. So maybe the most likely explanation is the explanation that was given by the owner/employee of the shop, and his own legal counsel didn't defend against. Keep playing.
That's right.
But they're all such slaves.
Is there anything? I want to clear with your entire, like, you know, not a single thing in anything that is in any way true about that.
But they were pushing that so hard, and all the intel guys were like, oh, it's Russia. It's like, you lie.
I don't know if his demeanor is drug addict or creepy old man that has lived in the house next door my entire life. He's very creepy, Hunter Biden.
You lie, because they called me. I sent one of my producers out to go meet with one of the guy connected to Netanyahu. They were behind that, and I felt that everybody in D.C. knew that, but there was so much pressure never to criticize Israel in any way that they were just like, it's the Russians, it's the Russians. They're the ones penetrating our political system. It's like, you lie. Everyone knows what's actually happening. This was my perspective, and it drove me insane. And by the way, I didn't say that on Fox News. I'll admit it. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. You're right. I just want to say I was part of the problem also, but I knew it.
Yeah, and just to be clear, he didn't say it at Fox News. We went back, we could show you the clip. He didn't say it. So he had no integrity back then. He really believed it was Israel. Didn't say it. But he's telling the truth now. He didn't mean it when you see all of his private texts saying that he hates Donald Trump and that his voters are idiots, and he reviles them. He's not an elitist who was born with a silver spoon.
No, of course
to the
not.
Swanson Foods fortune. No. He really is a man of the people now. He was a piece of crap back then who was lying to you, but not now. Now he's telling you the truth. Well, let me tell you, because I lived this in real time, and the laptop was shown on this show, from Rudy Giuliani, and obviously it was a laptop that had taken his hard drive. So I don't want to do the wordplay of laptop hard drive where they transfer things. At no point was there ever any mention of Israel. Hey, could he have been bought and paid off by Israel? I mean, I guess. Could the receipts have been? I guess you'd think his defense team would have used that at any point in time. No, we understood there was a story that he dropped off his laptop, dropped off these hard drives at effectively a computer repair shop, never went to go pick them up, and the guy offered it to people who might be interested, including Giuliani. And the feds came in, right, and took everything from Rudy Giuliani's apartment. Except for that, they had no interest while they were simultaneously saying it was Russian disinformation. Now, let me ask you, who would have the biggest interest in the middle of election 2020? The most vested interest in burying a story that was incredibly damning to the Biden family and their corruption?
It's good. You need to start
full payments and get one much lower monthly payment with zero credit impact. Get your free 30-second personalized assessment today at pdsdebt.com/Crowder. Maybe allies of the Bidens?
Is that
like those in media? Like those in big tech who had endorsed and given hundreds of millions of dollars? to Biden. Maybe they might have the most vested interest to say, hey, it's Russian disinformation, which we know beyond any shadow of a doubt is false. Or I guess Israel wanted Trump to win so badly. And anyone else, here's the thing, Tucker's letting you know, I was a piece of crap back then, but now you have to question anyone who covered this story, because all of them did it for Israel, right, Hunter? You're just an innocent man caught up in the fray. Why? It seems like there's this effort to rehabilitate Hunter Biden, who really is a piece of shit. Why would that be? Well, let me give you a couple of reasons here. Tucker Carlson and Hunter, they've been friends for a very long time. A very long time. This is from Chuck Ross, an investigative reporter at Daily Caller, site that, by the way, was started by Tucker Carlson. He wrote a funny story in 2020 after the Hunter laptop came out. Journalist at the Daily Caller, the site Tucker Carlson founded, the site where I worked, came across
Did he really?
that showed Tucker
I didn't know that.
Hunter Biden to write a letter of recommendation for his son to get into Georgetown. Well, back then he was
Hey, good morning, Yunuka. How you
palling
doing?
around with known Democrats who were destroying the country, but not now. He grew his integrity bone now, just so you know. Well, back then, of course, he was acting in the way that he tells you should revile these elitists, right? All rubbing elbows and getting each other into higher education, which he also shuns but wants his son to go to Georgetown. But not now, just so you know. Now he has integrity. Us Caller reporters thought this would be a great way to refute Biden World's claims at that time that the laptop emails were fake or illegitimate. Someone who emailed with Hunter could verify their authenticity. We thought Tucker would be more than happy to help and no ill will was intended. But no, Tucker lashed out at the Daily Caller employee who was tasked with contacting him about this, saying that a story on that would be an attack on my family, quote, or something along those lines. Meaning, this would have been an easy way to verify that the story was authentic because you have those emails exchanged between Hunter Biden and Tucker Carlson. They said, hey, good, this would give us a scoop where we can verify the authenticity because you would know if you were the one in the emails, Tucker. He said, don't release it, it'll hurt me because I don't want people to know that I asked him for a favor to get my kid into Georgetown. But he has integrity now. And for proof, as far as how damning this laptop would have been, look no further than some of the pictures themselves. Remember this picture? Or that was, yeah, funny. Well, apparently, that's not just
Please don't show that again.
Snapshot, but it's actually a frozen image taken from a video found on a laptop.
Please no. Ah! The only thing I have to cover it is my picture. No, I don't want to be in the same frame.
Well, see, you didn't need to be concerned. That just makes him seem cool.
Oh, my God.
It's fun. Yeah. It's so fun. You're bringing back the bow tie here.
Classy dance.
Hey there, Hunter.
Okay.
Sorry, that's Mickey Mouse.
Want to talk about this remember the lawyer Brian Friedman we talked about, the Trevor Bauer case, destroyed his Major League Baseball career, right? He was being accused of sexual assault by a woman who knowingly faked it, right, who lost in court. She had these bruises, but then there were images that showed she obviously didn't have those bruises after the altercation in her text saying, I'm going to get that bag, and she was specifically targeting Trevor Bauer to try and get money from him, and Brian Friedman was the one representing her to shake down this guy and refuse to hand over evidence that would have proven it beyond a doubt. Yeah, that Brian Friedman. Well, here's the thing. He is a lawyer for Tucker Carlson. He also represents Hunter Biden, or at least did, in his fight against Fox News. So he represented Tucker Carlson in his exit from Fox News, and he represents Hunter Biden.
Oh, I'm
notably
retarded.
in his cases against Fox News. He also represented Megyn Kelly in her NBC exit, and I believe still represents Megyn Kelly to this day. He also was very, very publicly praised. I don't know if he actually represents this person, but has been amplified by and praised by Candace Owens. This one lawyer connects all of them.
I am going to show you a clip of Baldani's lawyer, who I like very much, Brian Friedman. I like Brian Friedman. He seems like a tiger, and I can just sense he's telling the truth. I've got good
I can sense it. Charlie Kirk came to me in a dream and told me that Ryan Freeman's telling the truth.
mommy intuition. This man is telling the truth. Carrie writes,
I'm pregnant, therefore I have heightened senses. I have mommy intuition. You need to stop eating babies.
Mommy intuition too, girl, and I get good vibes from the Baldoni's lawyer also.
Oh,
he's
my
just
God.
telling the truth.
Yep, hey, look at that. Your fans are retarded too.
Ryan Friedman is telling the truth. I sense it.
Absolutely. Brian Freeman is telling the truth. He represents Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Hunter Biden, or at least at some point. Also, you can look into his past with the allegations, horrible, and by the way, people shouldn't be judged for their past, but a gang rape that took place at a college, which I know was settled out of court the night before it was supposed to happen. So it may explain why he represents both sides of the Me Too, which I'll get to a lot. He is known as someone who can destroy somebody's character in the court of public opinion or rehabilitate, just a gun for hire. But all that kind of makes his intro yesterday, Tucker's, make more sense.
Thank you for doing this.
Tucker Carlson.
I haven't seen you in 11 years, though I've talked about you. As you know.
In the meantime.
And then I wake up one morning and you're doing Candace Owens.
I love Candace.
I do too.
Yeah.
She's married.
Yeah. I love Brian Friedman, my lawyer. I love Brian Friedman, my lawyer, too. And we both love Candace, who loves Brian Friedman, our lawyer. Yeah. We also love Megyn Kelly, who's very close with our lawyer, Brian Friedman, represented by. Yeah. We all love each other. No pattern here as to appearances or rehabilitation. And again, this is just someone who could be representing all these people. Very effective representative at rehabilitating someone's image. And maybe in some cases, rightfully so. But it doesn't mean that this is done for the betterment of the country. So let me give you a pattern with Brian Freeman, who represents both these people. He was the one who represented, like I said, Trevor Bauer's false accuser, ruined his major league career. He also has defended the accused to curry favor there. Kevin Spacey, Diplo, Vin Diesel. He represented FKA Twigs as a survivor suing Shia LaBeouf. And then the Justin Baldoni situation, which has been covered a lot by Candace and Megyn Kelly. So Brian Freeman represented a client suing Justin Baldoni, then switched sides and took Baldoni on as a client, calling him exceedingly honorable, while the prior client's estate later sued Freeman for malpractice. So that's a very important connection. So there's already the important connection of Hunter and Tucker, close enough that he believed Hunter could get his child into Georgetown. No elitism here. Close enough that they communicated quite a bit, and Tucker wanted to keep it quiet. And then there are the other connections of the same lawyer to Tucker, Kelly, Hunter Biden, many others in this case, people.
Real quick. Fucking Sneeko, man. A blue state just legalized abortion up till birth. Surrounded by applauding women, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey signed a sweeping abortion bill Monday that removes states' gestation age limit, giving healthcare providers greater discretion to perform abortions later in pregnancy. The law replaces the state's previous general restriction on abortions after 24 weeks, with limited exceptions, and is set to take effect in 90 days. Massachusetts become the 10th state to remove gestational age limits on abortion, according to the report, which is awful, which is just awful, considering how they do it. And that a lot of these babies, sure, sometimes with a little assistance, would be viable outside the womb, 100%. I'm not pro or anti-abortion. I'm against stupid people having kids, yes. I think we've all been handling this all wrong. Abortion's very wrong. It's horrible. It's disgusting. You are, in fact, ending a life. On the other hand, I really don't want a lot of these people having kids because clearly their decision-making isn't up to par. Is that the kid's fault? Absolutely not. And this definitely, considering how they do abortions past, was it 24 weeks, is horrifying. I mean, it's horrifying how they do it then. But then people like Sneeko will say Christian white women, one, these are not Christian people, are celebrating their legal ability to murder children, but Fox News will still tell you that Muslims, it's the Muslims destroying America. Two things. One, Sneeko, as I'd say repeatedly in the replies and comments on your post, you've been Muslim for 10 minutes. Okay. These are not Christian white women. These are liberal, very liberal white women. And just because one is awful doesn't mean that the other isn't awful, because there's a lot of separate groups in the world. And expanding that to envelop an entire group is stupid. That being said, there is one exception, and that is extreme Islam, which you very much practice. You're a retard. You look like an autistic baby duck. Your head is somehow bigger and more disproportionate than mine. And you're an absolute idiot. He was talking earlier. Where is it? Yeah, he was talking earlier. Traitors are worse than the oppressors. And I said, you've literally betrayed everyone in your life. You've been Muslim for like a year. You are, I meant to say not the betrayed. You are not the betrayed. You are the betrayer. He has literally backstabbed everyone in his life, ever. And yeah, a lot of them were pieces of shit. Andrew Tate specifically. Giant piece of shit. But you thought he was awesome. And it's not because he's a piece of shit that you are no longer dick riding him. It's because you thought you could get a little bit of clout by throwing him to the wolves when he got caught for doing what you very much knew that he was doing.
Who are, I don't know if connected to Candace, but praising. It's bizarre. Here's why this matters, though. Just asking questions. But this is not a question. The Hunter Biden laptop story being claimed as Russian disinformation, and there was big tech collusion, censorship therein. Right? We saw the results. There was the MRC poll, and then there was an entire book written on it. That 17% of Biden voters would not have voted for him if they knew that the laptop was a legitimate story, if they knew that it was real, which, by the way, they're not even disputing here. They're just saying it wasn't all that bad. We don't have a clear example, and I've been here since 2006, 2008, fighting against media leftism, right? The media, entertainment, big tech, educational, industrial complex. We don't have a more clear example. It's not that it's the most important one than the Hunter Biden laptop story. It got to investigative journalists, grassroots, who circulated it, and right away, three-letter agencies said Russian disinformation, and big tech said, say no more, we're going to ban this story that would affect the outcome of the election before you get the voter ID or any type of fraud. We're going to ban it just based on that word and legacy media. It's the clearest example we have of leftist censorship and silencing voices of dissent. And it's the clearest example we have that an election was stolen. Throw it all out. Was the Jews, Israel. There's no reason to fear the left.
Anyway, sorry.
There's no reason, because we don't have any proof of leftist censorship or leftist control of big tech or intelligence agencies. Charlie Kirk, this other conspiracy here. Now, on one case, you had a very brief moment of unity. And as someone who lived through it and had to beef up security myself, it obviously was the quickest explanation. A radicalized trans activist, LGBTQAIP, spending times in the dark recesses of the internet with other leftists who justify radicalized behavior, went out and assassinated one of the most prominent voices of our movement in broad daylight. Well, that didn't happen. It's the Jews. We don't need to be afraid.
Yes, it's the Jews.
Radicalization. We don't need to be afraid of leftist indoctrination and unstable youth and mental illness. It's actually not an issue. It's the Jews.
Of course.
The two
why wouldn't it be?
Concrete examples that you have of the consequences from the radical Marxist left of our lifetime. The most important examples. They're the most concrete. They are the most provable. And you're going to see it with Tyler Robinson in a court of law, despite what the internet sleuths say.
Yeah. And by sleuths, we mean retards.
Have wanted to throw out, say there's no threat, so there's no threat from the left. So vote for whoever. Vote for whoever. There's no difference. Probably a psyop, too, that 10 to 20 million illegals came here. No, wait, that would be the Jews as well, not Democrats. Probably is, Black Lives Matter, Summer of Love, and COVID. Not WHO and not China. Probably Israel. So really, there's no need to fear. Hey, look, are you a conservative? Are you MAGA? Are you American First? I want to let you know. You have no proof. There is no reason to fear or have any problem with the left. They've done nothing wrong. They've committed no violence. They've committed no censorship. You've just been lied to. It's actually Israel who's responsible for all of it. Enjoy those midterms.
Jesus.
And that brings us, by the way, to the Kalshi check-in. Who's going to be running for the GOP presidential nomination in the next? J.D. Vance right now is at 79%. Rubio at 60. Wow. MTG at 32, Tucker at 27. I'm surprised MTG is higher than Tucker.
I am too right now. That won't last very long.
I'm all for Marcus Rubius, first of his name. Jordan B. Peterson said it best: anti-Semitism is a symptom of a rotten society. No, 100%. And the look, you can always tell when it's just someone who hates the Jews by the fact that they just say it's the Jews. And they offer you nothing in the way of proof. They just say, I have a feeling this baby that's inside my tummy, I'm clearly talking about Candace Owens, it's the Jews. I just feel it. Mommy intuition tells me it's the Jews. They never really give you any reason other than the fact that there's a pretendicide happening in Palestine. Therefore, the Jews did it. Mind you, again, October 7th was, I believe it's been called the day that more Jews were killed and attacked than any day since the Holocaust. Absolutely insane. And they will turn a blind eye to all of the horrible atrocities committed on the Jewish people, on Israelis. Forgive me, the Israelis. On that day. And that started a war. I believe that happened during a ceasefire or right at the end of a ceasefire. October 7th itself, I can't remember off the top of my head. But again, and I say this, and I've posted it on people like Sneeko and a bunch of other people's really stupid comments about Israel. Hamas could put down their weapons tomorrow, and we could work out a two-state solution, and Israel would probably even concede more land. Israel puts down their guns tomorrow. Israel stops. It ceased to exist. That's just the fact of the matter. Okay.
Long, I don't think.
We'll see. That's it. Sorry to get, but it's like business. All right. Hey. The left isn't violent.
No, I think it's a really good point to make. Right now, it's kind of sucking all of the oxygen out of the room on every single possible story and win that we could have for this presidency. It's the Jews. What about Israel? What about Israel? What about? It's just over and over and over again. What I want America First people to understand is that you have shifted the cultural window massively on Israel. Everybody's talking about Israeli influence in the government and not wanting it, wanting AIPAC to at the very least register under FARA. That conversation wasn't happening just a couple of years ago. Instead of taking the win, they still say that President Trump is compromised and that Netanyahu really is in charge and Israel still runs everything here.
And Hunter Biden was part of a smear campaign from Israel. And so is Tyler Robinson. By the way, the words, they're going to put an innocent man behind bars because of Israel. I think that they absolutely have vested interest, and I think that absolutely. But this idea that there would be no one on the left who would, of course, want to suppress and that they would have the ability.
Yeah.
ABC, NBC, CNN, CBS, CNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, all of them.
9/11 was the Jews. Remember that theory going around that Tucker Carlson did his thing on?
I think the Jews did.
Was the Jews. Do you see a
They literally, one, JFK doesn't make sense because Israel was like less than 10 years old at the time. Two, you can't literally say that every act of Islamic terrorism is the Jews. That's just retarded. You say that and you have zero evidence. You're just like, again, mommy feelings.
Common pattern here of blaming Israel, blaming the Jews, even without any real evidence at all, just trying to make some tangential claim so that we can't identify the real threats in this country. And again, we want no foreign influence in the United States. Really quickly, you said Ted Cruz. I said Ted Cruz and Mike Huckabee. Yeah. He was able to push back in the interviews with those guys and make sure that he got to the truth. And he was hardcore in those interviews. Somebody
Yeah.
pointed out to me online, Daryl Cooper, saying, oh, those guys are elected officials. I'm like, now do Piers Morgan, where they argued with each other for 2 hours straight. Tucker has it in him. He chooses when to do it and when not to, and he chose not to with Hunter Biden.
He could
Tons of lies. Tons of lies.
I mean, he knows the exact population number of the people of Iran or how many Christians have Iran, but he goes, did you ever drop off a laptop? No, never. He could have just followed up with, was this your signature?
Yeah.
I wrote crack.
Instead, yeah, good enough for me. He said no.
Is this
he
your
didn't.
signature? But why didn't your legal defense argue that? This was, just so you know, this was a coordinated, and I don't mean coordinated by a bunch of foreign governments. This was coordinated by someone saying, hey, you know what? Hunter Biden is kind of he's on a mea culpa tour. He's on a comeback tour. This would be nice if you could help rehabilitate the image of an old friend. Sure, that's exactly what this is. This is not about getting to the truth. And if you believe that the Hunter Biden laptop story was a scam, that the left never colluded with big tech.
Just for clarification, JFK was very pro-Israel so much that he kept his criticism of Israel in private. I mean, and that's fine. You're allowed to criticize Israel itself, but you have to be realistic. I mean, and like I said, what I said was true, but I understand not liking a lot of what Netanyahu does. I think he goes overboard. I think he's actually trying to stoke the war a little bit sometimes, because he will more than likely be ousted as the leader once because y'all haven't had an election in quite a while, right? Like, I think that some of these things are true, but to the extent that people are pushing it to where they're saying that the only reason there's any fighting or any bombing or anything like that's going on is strictly for that is ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure it's entered his mind, and I'm sure that he's pushed a little further, whether it be for that or because, just like Trump said, y'all have been fighting for so long and so hard that sometimes you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I can definitely see that too. But just hating Israel and hating Jews in general is... and especially when it comes from the left. Like the right, sure, there are some people who just are awful people, like your Megyn Kelly's, your Tucker Carlson, but I don't really think that they're on the right. You see some of it in mostly smaller towns, in mostly places that aren't very well connected with reality outside of that town. But on the left, you're supposed to be above it. You're supposed to be the anti-hate people, but then again, you just end up hating Christians and Jews all the time. It's ridiculous. We had an election a few months before the war. Oh, yeah? Now, is that because everyone says that the war started on October 7th, so it was a little bit before so just a few years ago? I didn't know that. My bad. Correction. But no, that's what people are saying. I've let enough disinformation get into my head that it just became fact, when clearly not the case.
And the three-letter agencies, then you know what? Then you're not on board with fighting the censorship of the left. You don't think it's a threat. There'll be no reason for you to watch anymore. If you just think that, hey, we're all Americans, it's America versus Israel, as though there's no battle for the soul of this country.
Yeah.
With traditional conservatives and the left, and as though we didn't see that play out during COVID and during that election, all across big tech, then I don't know. Check the references from today's show, because I have no other way to even attempt to reach you.
Yeah. One other quick thing, he gave cover to big tech. You said he's giving cover a lot right now to the left and to Russia. He covered his base with big tech. Did you know why he said that the laptop was pulled off? He said it was the revenge porn policy that they have, and that there was nudity in those photographs that were on his laptop, and that's why the story was killed on Facebook and Twitter.
That's not true.
Exactly.
It was killed because it was declared Russian disinformation.
But he's covering his bases for now. The left, Russia. Apparently, Russia's not involved.
Hey, has Tucker been demonetized on YouTube? Has he been?
No.
Has he been banned?
No, I don't think he ever has.
Banned from X at one point. Been banned from TikTok. Banned from Facebook, demonetized on YouTube. Has Tucker faced any of that at any point?
No.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. Isn't that a little weird? Because his same people will go,
It's pretty weird.
Hey, why are they getting... Hey, by the way, didn't he also make trips to Israel? It hasn't Candace? Like many times? I haven't. And I won't, by the way. But, I've been the same guy. Tucker really had no integrity then. Candace really had no integrity then. but trust them when they say they have integrity. Now, Hunter Biden's a good guy. Oh, you're still here?
Yeah, Hunter Biden has no integrity. More power to you that you're clean, allegedly, now. But you're still a liar, and you're still a part of the most corrupt one of the most corrupt families in America, specifically when it comes to politics. Tucker Carlson is paid off by Qatar and Russia and probably a couple other people who want to see America fall. Wouldn't surprise me if Candace Owens was in on that, but I have nothing really proving that point. Just a feeling I have from this food baby that I'm brewing, and the Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett. But y'all have a president and a prime minister? I'm gonna have to look into how the government is run in Israel, because I am fascinated by it. And I have to say, if not for the imminent danger, I would be curious to visit someday. But again, just to see how it is over there. I've been to a lot of countries while I was in the military in the Middle East. But I've always wanted to at least stop by and see Israel. I was hoping I would get a layover through there, but clearly it's not the case. Not even in the military. I think we went to Kuwait on the way out to my deployments. Well, for one, we did Manas and rode to Spain the other times. Yeah, the president do nothing in Israel. Okay, right on. Okay, but anyway, guys, I've run way too late today. I really wanted to get this one in there just because I really don't like Tucker Carlson or Hunter Biden. So I really wanted to get that one in there today. But thank you, everyone, for coming in and hanging out with me for a little bit. It's much appreciated. Yanuka, it's always great to have you here. I think Angie was in here earlier. I don't know if she's in here anymore. I see a couple people in here. But thank you all very much. And then we'll be back tomorrow for another episode. This is Alfie Animus for the